Hello, gorgeous Capricorn, and welcome to July 2020. This year, this is a powerful year, and I think the Capricorn community, you all are going through a lot of really big things, and I think July has this huge symbolic power for you. First of all, on July 1st, Saturn is joining you again. And will be with you until December. And this is that last little window of time with your ruling planet with you. And rather than it being like we're all going back to like 2019 or 2018, it's more like, okay, we have all the perspective, right? We've been experimenting with Saturn in Aquarius. So we're coming back here, we're checking in, and we're saying, okay, how much have I grown? How do I want to take these lessons and move forward? How do I want to break through from whatever I have gained from Saturn in Capricorn? Not only that, but we have a full moon and partial lunar eclipse happening in Capricorn on July 5th. And this is really closing out your cycle with eclipses in your sign. So this is really this last visitation of very powerful energy. The South Node lessons you learned with the South Node of the Moon in Capricorn, of Saturn in Capricorn. And these are the last months of Jupiter in Capricorn as well. So July heralds in a closeout of a huge learning cycle for you over the last 2 or 3 years. And that is powerful. Not only that, but Chiron is going retrograde in Aries, your fellow cardinal sign, 4th house energy, your deep, intimate side, and becoming more accepting and vulnerable in that aspect of your life. Cancer season is also mirror season for you Capricorns, right? So we have the sun moving through Cancer. We have a new moon in Cancer at the end of Cancer season on July 20th. And then we move from your 7th house of relationships and how you connect to others and how you see yourself into 8th house and Leo season, which is all about your big transformation, shedding a skin, meeting yourself anew. So everything this month is kind of one big initiation ritual for Capricorns. And this is a very, just overall for everybody collectively, it's a very truth-bringing month, a very honest month. The Tower, oh my goodness. That card, it's almost not personal anymore. You know what I mean? It's because this year, I think, the Tower is so deeply tied to 2020 in so many ways. The power structures are not working, right? We're really looking at where that's hurting us all, right? And so from within, our inner dictators, how are those hurting us? And also, as we've seen, how that's hurting people. It's hurting communities, right? So this is just, the Tower is just something that's coming up right now. And to be honest, the symbolism of the Tower is about liberation and freedom. The star. Oh, I love that. Look how those came out, you guys. These two together. Are you kidding me? Okay, there's a really important message here, which is, okay, we're gonna come back to Saturn and Capricorn. I know some of you have really enjoyed that transit, but I think it's also come with some hard lessons, right? It's come with some pretty heavy hitting things, and it's come with a certain energetic flavor, which, yes, hard work, showing up, consistency, this is where we get our results, right? It's not always about being wishy-washy, and I think it is important, but it's also sometimes we crave a new flavor, and that is what's going on here. It's like we're coming back to visit Saturn in Capricorn and to see, oh yeah, I don't fit that shape anymore. 3 of Pentacles. I don't fit into that container anymore. Like, I can try. It reminds me of that adorable cat who tries to get into Judgment, yeah. Skin shedding, I'm telling you, Leo season, powerful for Capricorns. You know that cat I'm talking about? The one that tries to get in, well, there's probably multiple cats. They always try and get in these little boxes and they can only put an arm in. Sometimes when we've grown a lot and then we visit something again, right? And we see it with clarity and we understand it and we come to culmination about it. It's like, oh yeah, okay. Page of Swords, love it. I have a feeling that's a lot of what July is going to feel like for you. Oh, I've changed. I can't go back. Oh my gosh, like I'm this new shape. Oh my gosh. Page of Pentacles. And wow, how amazing, right? You can really use the next 5-6 months and Four of Pentacles. All right. To, really understand what it is you've learned, how you've changed shape, and to prepare and to listen in and to lean in. Now, let's talk about this Tower and how it's completely leading into all the cards that have to do with blessings, with good work with others, like shared vision, with expansion, with clarity, with the information you need. Here it is. The Tower is... There was a phase a couple of years ago when I was doing Capricorn readings and the Tower would come out all the time. It was like you could not get around this card. And it does like to show up for you all. But I think that's really interesting now, right? Because we're closing this out. This is our last visitation. And with an eclipse too, eclipses have this kind of cleansing property. There's that shape that does not fit you anymore, so you can try and go back there. And what you'll notice is you're going to feel a little zapped and a little sapped, right? This is actually, it's a fun experiment. Sometimes, when we've changed a routine or like something that we eat or something that wasn't working for us and we go away from it, and then sometimes it's fun to try it again just to see how it feels. Were we just making up? Was it just that time? And then you do it again, you're like, yeah, that just doesn't feel like me anymore. You might notice that you're playing around with that and feeling through that and noticing where that's changed for you. Because here's the thing. There's no going back. Like, even if you feel like there are themes coming up from 2019 or something, it's kind of like, oh yeah, but we're not there anymore. It's not about being held back at this point, Capricorn. You are on the path, because look at this. The Star is this card that's known as the lucky card, as getting your wish card, this healing card, as expansion card. It's actually tied to Aquarius, which is interesting since Saturn just left from there. And it's also the card of leaving behind the familiar, going to the extraterrestrial, going to the unfamiliarity often of prosperity or new experiences. And it's tied to this Three of Pentacles, which has to do with shared vision, with being in environments and in relationships and in projects where you don't have to change who you are in order to get things done, right? This is a card of deep cooperation, deep shared vision. This is about building something together, and it's such a beautiful image of three people with all different backgrounds, all different skill sets who come together to build and create something beautiful and helpful for the world, right? And I'm seeing that here for you. And it does involve some unfamiliar territory, right? It's like it's not back here in this tower that once was, that's not where you're going to find it. So if you try and go back there, you're going to just be underwhelmed. So you may have to be looking in ways and in areas that you normally wouldn't be looking. Really interesting exercise to do, right? Because how can we know what we don't know? How can we see what we don't see? It's like you have to relax enough in order to welcome in the seeing of what it is that you need to see next. And we're going to get to these pages in a second. They bring out about. Now, like I said, once we move through Cancer season and into Leo season, we start to move into really transformative energy for Cappies. So starting July 22nd and through until about August 22nd, there's a theme of transformation. We'll come back to this in August, I'm sure, but Judgment is about release and forgiveness. It's a really misnamed card in many ways because this is such a deep card of forgiveness and release and grace. And I think sometimes when we grow and we change and we can no longer do things the way that maybe we could have done them in other times, and our relationships change and our priorities change and what we can show up for changes, right? We don't always want to give ourselves the grace to know that's okay. But the Judgment card gives us that space. right? To find grace and forgiveness. It's a healing card. It can bring up, sometimes old past pains and things like that, but also in the name of knowing that doesn't define who you are today or who you are going to be the next 6 months or who you're going to be anytime from now on. So it's an important part of this journey, because I think as you welcome in new ways of seeing, new information, you have to simultaneously be willing to find grace for your past self and find grace for those around you and find grace in the learning and in the tower and in that sense of destruction, right? So these pages speak to your process this month as well. I think there is going to be a sense of like relief when we get through eclipse season, when Mercury goes direct, and the more we're moving away from the shadow of Venus retrograde. All of those things clearing the air a little bit are really helping us to understand what's next. Where I think the last 3 months have been somewhat mystical in many ways. I mean, there's been a lot of movement and a lot of understanding, a lot of things coming to the surface that we've seen, right? There's also been this sense of overwhelm and what to do next and what is that going to look like. And we're kind of coming out of this big storm cloud into some greater clarity. So the Page of Swords and the Page of Pentacles here are really important message bringers, right? They bring messages. They are paging you. And these two bring about swiftness of information, communication, and resources, right? And these two emblems here make me think about what you need, what you long to see, what you're looking to see, and being able to see it. So welcoming in, what is it that you need me to see today? What is it that you want me to do today? Who is it that you want me to be in contact today? Kind of welcoming in that prayer every day is a really great practice. If you aren't sure exactly what it is you're getting called here to do, or how to do it, or how to implement it, those pages are there, right? And those do bring about new doorways, new contacts, new ways of doing things that don't fit in to the old template, right? So they're going to be a little maybe unexpected, maybe a little bit of a different shape and feel than you were expecting. Now, Four of Pentacles is here, and I feel like this is very Saturn and Capricorn in many ways, right? Because that's that kind of careful energy. Well, what will happen if I start making big changes? Won't all my money disappear? Won't all my security disappear? Won't everything fall apart if I make all these movements? The Four of Pentacles likes to show up when we are being called forth. A part of us is being called forth, a part of our being, a part of our process is being called forth that is unfamiliar, and we're being asked to kind of jump, and then the net will appear, right? And it just shows up when we're getting that call. It's that simple. It doesn't tell you that this is what you should do. It tells you that you might feel some of that, I want to get back into my comfortable container that I knew. Why can't I just stay the same, right? It brings that about. And I think it's such a natural, I'm just taking in this card right now and really looking at it and feeling through it. It's such a natural part of the process. I think what's so interesting about this image is this guy, he's kind of sitting alone, right? He's sitting detached from all this going on in the city behind him. And he's so consumed with being in this controlled environment by himself that he no longer sees this river that's running through this city, all the buildings, the connections. He can't see any of it because he's in this, right? And I think this month is, as I look at these cards and as I feel through this very symbolic month for you all, there's this sense that, you're just going to get that opportunity to start seeing and breathing in life into this next phase. And interestingly enough, that's happening while you're looking at what Saturn and Capricorn has brought you, but from a very different place. It's even though it's back, even though he's visiting again, where you were even in March, right before he moved onto Aquarius, It's not the same anymore. That relationship isn't the same. Your relationship to Saturn isn't the same. Your relationship to the process isn't the same as it was. And that, I think, is a beautiful thing. I would love to offer you deeper support. My Patreon is a wonderful way to do that. We are such a connected little community over there. Every week we're doing our weekly astrology, so we really get a feel for the week and some of the themes coming up. I get a lot more personal over there as well, so you get to learn more about me and my process as just a human being and not just as a leader and teacher. It's a really intimate little space. I would love to see you over there, and it really helps me out. It's changed my life. I am so appreciative of those of you who have joined me over on Patreon. It really has been life-changing for me. I can't even express my gratitude to all of you and what you are giving me there. You can also find me on Instagram on my email or on my website at Sarah Verba, so I'd love to see you there as well. And of course, PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry is on her Etsy shop. I'll leave her link below as well. And, if you're feeling the call, I would love if you subscribed and liked this video. You're part of my family. You mean a lot to me. So I appreciate you so much. Have a beautiful July. Have a beautiful mirror season as we move through Cancer season. I love this time of year. I'm curious to see how you feel about it, and have some safe eclipses. We're going to be going deep on that lunar eclipse in Capricorn over on Patreon if you're interested in that extra support. I will talk to you all very soon. Have a beautiful July.